Hi, I'm Kelly Vaughn, and welcome to Inside Indy. At some point or another, I'm sure you've checked into Friday nights on Channel 40 where we air high school football or high school basketball. So we're big on sports for our young people in the community. And there's a gentleman in the audience who has the same passion that Channel 40 has. He is Anthony Leach, and you are the president of Sports Ventures International.
Yes.
And he is the man behind Prep Ball Stars. Yes. Am I saying it right?
You're saying it correct.
All right,
Absolutely.
welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Tell folks a little bit about Prep Ball Stars. This is pretty exciting stuff.
Right, thank you. Well, Prep Ball Stars, we highlight and promote youth sports, and we do that through providing just a platform for them exposure for the players as well as those that want to be like you be the next Kelly Vaughn, to be someone who wants to be behind the camera as a commentator or as a videographer or photographer.
Okay.
So it's really twofold, and we do that through our website, through events that we cover throughout the city and really across the U.S. But we also have our own events. We have Prep Ball Stars Combine, which is to this point, it's been basketball, but also we're going to do football as well.
Oh, wow.
And also we do Prep Ball Stars Midwest Challenge, which is a challenge between the top basketball graduating seniors. And there's a Team Wisconsin, Team Indiana, Team Michigan, and Team Ohio. And these are the top players that are playing around the country now. Highlight a couple of people: Aaron Henry, who plays for #1 Michigan State.
Wow.
Played in Midwest Challenge last year. Eric Hunter Jr., who's a starter at Purdue. So been some top players that appeared at Midwest Challenge.
Okay. So now, how do you gather the players together for the Midwest Challenge? And because I take it you're keeping an eye on this all year, or how
Yes.
did they come together? Because obviously, if it's an Indiana All-Stars team,
Right.
we know who they are. But I
Right.
suspect it goes beyond that, right?
Well, going back, I mean, I started actually as a coach on the summer basketball scene, so I know a lot of these players.
Okay.
So I've covered a lot of them from really 5th and 6th grade on up to where they're seniors. So I know them, I know some of their parents. So when I started the concept, I was able to pick up the phone and talk to some of these parents and get them to commit to the first event, which was last year, 2018.
Okay.
So throughout the year, you take a look at who the top players are and then kind of build the team that way. So the last 2 years, there were 13 players that played for in the Indiana-Kentucky game. 9 of those players played in Midwest Challenge last year, and 10 of those players played Midwest Challenge this year. So it's a similar level of talent, at least from Indiana and really across the Midwest, from those other states that I mentioned as well.
Okay. So tell us about that particular day. It'll be April 18th.
Yes.
That's for the Midwest Challenge, right?
Yes.
Okay. So tell us about the specifics about that, and also what actually goes on that day.
Well, what goes on that day is actually this past year, we had it at Tech High School the last 2 years. So we're working out some details as far as the location for this year. But it was the mayor of Indianapolis dubbed it Prep Ball Stars Midwest Challenge Day. It was April 20th this year, so really proud of that in our second year to get that designation. But what goes on is, again, it's a competition. So it's a challenge between, again, Indiana. It was Indiana versus Ohio this past year,
Okay.
and then Michigan versus Wisconsin. Michigan and Indiana won, and then Michigan actually won the competition on a buzzer beater this past year. So it'll be similar to that this year.
Okay.
But in addition to those 2 games, we also had an unsigned senior contest. So there were
What's that
some
again?
Unsigned seniors. So what that
Unsigned
means
seniors,
is
okay.
there's a lot of talent in Indiana, really across the Midwest. So we allowed those players. There was 20 players, 10 on each team, that played on live stream this past year.
Okay.
And actually one of them committed live on the air. And we had some other players that one actually went to Division I. Is at UMass and Lowell now.
Nice.
From being seen on the broadcast. So it's an opportunity not just for the players that are already signed, but also some of these players that are looking for additional opportunity to ultimately get to the college level.
So you're giving some of these basketball players great exposure.
Yes.
So I take it when you're doing your thing, there are a lot of scouts out there kind
Yes.
of keeping an eye on
Yeah.
what you're doing.
Either in the audience or, again, it was
Right.
looking at it on the live stream.
Okay. Well, as you know, you and I have been kind of talking behind the
Right.
scenes, like this would be great stuff for WHMB TV 40. So we'll
It would
see
be
how that
very
goes.
great
And-
stuff. Wink,
yeah.
wink.
Wink,
So-
wink.
So,
I love it. I love it. So now you've got the combines. Now
Yes.
is that's different than the Midwest Challenge, right?
yes, it is.
Okay.
So the combines are really for 5th through 12th graders. There's a lot of camps across, not just in Indiana, but across really the U.S. where a player, this is I'm talking basketball right now, but we're going to do football as well, where you'll get some training, you'll play the games, and you go home. So with the combine, what you're going to get, you still get the training, you still get we give a uniform, we provide lunch, because I've done a lot of these where a parent will drop the player off, they won't have a water or nothing,
Right.
and they're hungry. So I said, you know what, when I do these events, I'm just going to feed everybody. So
Okay.
you get lunch, but you get combine measurements. So you get the height, weight, wingspan, vertical. That we do an NBA combine agility drill, and then we track that data. So for a player that's looking to, let's say you're a 8th grader, you're about to head into high school. So if you come this year and then you come next year, we'll be able to track that data. So maybe you're 5'10" in 8th grade, and then next year you'll be 6 foot, and you'll be longer and faster, and we'll be able to track all that data. For the college coaches, we'll be able to see that data, and the player and the parents as well. So, and then we'll be able to look at it, because we're not just having this in Indiana, we're doing it across the country. So
Right,
it's a
okay.
way forward to measure for the players to our tagline is get buckets, get training, and get measured. So
Right.
yeah.
Okay. Okay. Wow. Yeah, and I know about that whole game of the coaches coming to scout. They're looking at them in what, 6th grade? I mean, they can see when they're coming.
Not that early. I mean,
Well, when I was-
a college coach is really they really realistically start looking at the players. I'd say maybe sophomore year. Maybe they're on the radar. They get really serious about them really junior, senior year.
Okay.
I mean, 6th graders just need to. I always tell parents this: there are ranking services out there, which I really don't do that early, but if you're ranked now, keep working. If you're not, keep working, because the key is to continue to develop a passion for the game, whether it's basketball, whether it's football, whether it's soccer, just to continue to develop a passion for it, because that's going to make you work harder and you're going to get better at it.
Okay. Okay. And the reason I say 6th grade, I went to Broad Ripple.
Okay.
Go Rockets!
Right.
And we won the state. Did I mention
Right.
that we won the state championship?
Yeah,
What,
1981, I remember.
Yeah, and Jeff Robinson was on
Yep,
that squad,
King
and I
Duke
know
and
Jeff very well. And
Kevin
Jeff,
Tracy.
they were looking at him in the 7th grade at School
Right.
69. Yeah,
well,
they were
he
there.
was probably,
yeah.
he ended up being 6'8". So
Yeah,
he was probably,
6'10".
Okay, yeah, so he
Size
was
17
probably
shoe
6'6". He may have been 6'6" in 8th grade. So they
Right,
do look
right,
at you
okay.
then.
So
If you're
there are
that
exceptions,
tall.
like, yeah, we
Right.
can see this guy coming. Yeah, that's
Absolutely.
right. Yeah, and I can remember again, I was in high school myself, but I can remember them talking about it, and Bill Smith, and
Right.
yeah, so I was like, guys, they start
Yeah,
way back then.
Right. If you're that tall, I remember Trey Lyles, who ended up being Mr. Basketball. My son Grant played with him in 8th grade, and he was 6'8" in 8th grade.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
ran like a gazelle, was very athletic, and so I knew then that he's in the NBA now, plays for the Spurs.
yeah.
That he was going to be a top player. So he was starting to get looks even in 8th grade
Yeah, yeah. So
because he was 6'8". So.
that's too funny. So this probably has just a tremendous impact on these young people, wouldn't you say?
Yes. That's the beauty of it. I mean, again, I coached before starting Prep Ball Stars. Actually, it was Prep Hoop Stars originally. Expanded to Prep Ball Stars a couple of years ago so that I can, expand into other sports. But through coaching, not only was I able to help my son get a college scholarship, Division I, I was also able to help about 20, 25 other players. Wow. Some of them are still playing now. I've got a couple in the G League, got some players that are playing overseas, and a lot of them played in college for free. So, it was a lot of work, but it was really rewarding. Just getting to work with those players, not just on the court, but just able to teach them life lessons. I talked about the basketball side, but the thing I'm also proud of, Kelly, is I've got a couple of players I'll highlight. One just started med school 2 months ago.
Wow.
So to have a player that you had some impact on to be in med school. I've got another player that's in their second year at Harvard Law School.
Woo.
So it's not just basketball. It's because I always when I would have practice, I would hold up the orange dimple ball and I would say, look, don't let this basketball use you. Let use basketball, use it to get your education. Again, and my son was able to do that. He graduated in 3 years, 3.7 in finance, works in Chicago now, doing great.
Wow.
Dad didn't pay for college.
Amen.
So I started Prep Ball Stars and
Okay.
Sports Ventures because I want as many parents and players to have that feeling of not paying for college as I can.
Right. I love it. I love it. Now, you mentioned, some people go on to be doctors,
Yes.
but there's an opportunity for kids to learn about media.
Absolutely.
As a part of this. How's that work?
Well, I'm not in the media, necessarily, or I never.
You are now.
Well, I am now, yeah. But I didn't have the aspiration to be the next Stuart Scott or Stephen A. Smith or anything like that. So I want to use this platform as a way for, as these kids are getting exposure, that allow students, high school students, college students, to interview them. So if you go to our platform, you go to either at Prep Ball Stars on social media or prepballstars.com, you'll be able to see some clips of players, and as you're looking at the players, you'll be able to see some talent, some people that are looking to be the next Stuart Scott or whoever. Okay. I'll highlight a couple of people who have done this. Bailey Jackson, just most recently. I met Bailey in June, started working with her. She started interview some of the talent at our combines, and she is now she's working with the Big Ten Network now.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So she's taken this opportunity working with us to even further herself. She's still going to do some things with us, but to have an opportunity to work with the Big Ten Network is great.
That's
I've got
awesome.
another a former commentator who's at the University of Kentucky now, Autumn Jones. She's done Kentucky basketball and football games. She also did a Pacers broadcast about 9 months ago.
Okay.
So she's well on her way.
Okay.
To have a career in broadcasting.
Okay.
And then Dominique Newland, also, she did some interviewing in our Midwest Challenge last year. She's now the morning anchor in Arizona. So,
nice. Very nice. So
there's been some positive things that have come from having an experience working with Prep Ball Stars.
Okay. All right. And glad to get the
talent.
girls involved in one way or another.
Absolutely.
We get the teams out there pretty soon. Just want to acknowledge Jeff.
Yes.
Jeff Smith of Bubba's 33,
Bubba's,
who's a
yes.
big sponsor and
Yes.
supplies some of the food and support. So we want to
Right.
give him a shout out. But,
Absolutely.
But we're out of time.
Okay.
Okay, but I know I'll be seeing you again. Hopefully we're going to get this on television,
Right.
the actual game. Anthony Leach, who is the president of Sports Ventures International. Thanks so much for joining us on
Thank you.
Inside Indy. And we'll be back with more here on Inside Indy after this.
Because of you, I felt hopeless.
I know it was a joke, but it still hurt me.
Because of you, I felt wanted and not alone in this world.
Because you said hi to me on the first day of school, I felt included and I knew that I was going to be okay.
It's a beautiful day out here. Sunny today with light breezes, giving way to clouds in the afternoon. We could see some light precipitation to moderate precipitation later on, followed by powerful storm-like conditions. 90 miles per hour winds are expected. Authorities are asking everyone, stay indoors. Come on, that's it. Let's go.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move, so I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day, I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
And we're back here on Inside Indy, and we are 5 hours to Georgia. What am I talking about? A new movie that's going to be premiering in January here in Indianapolis, and it was made here in Indianapolis by someone who from Indianapolis. Were you born and raised in Indianapolis?
Yes, born and raised.
Okay, born and raised in Indianapolis. She is Lakeisha Lorraine. She is the CEO of Loving Life Productions. Welcome to Inside Indy.
Thank you, Kelly. Thanks for having me.
And joining us also are Sharon Famoye. Did I say it right? Okay, actor. She's an actress in this particular production, which is a part of Loving Life Productions. And then we have Tara Malachi. Did I get it right?
You got it.
All right. Also performs in this particular production. Welcome to Inside Indy.
Thank you. Thank you.
5 hours to Georgia.
Yes.
What's the storyline here? Let people know.
Oh man, so 5 hours to Georgia is a really powerful drama with some really great comedic moments. And the story is essentially following a family who is learning to live and love through disorder. So the traditional log line is while traveling to Georgia, 3 sisters discover another journey that forces them to face unhidden truths that they've been running from for years. So we tackle the topics of mental health, spiritual wellness, and family relationships in this film.
Wow. Now, when you say mental health, so could you give, we don't want to give the movie away.
Yes, yeah, no.
But kind of just tease us a little bit about when you say mental health, for example, what would we see in this particular film?
Yes, so when we are talking about mental health, we are talking about traditional mental health disorders, and we are also addressing mental health in the ways that talk about functioning healthily and as far as relating, depression, there, those traditional mental health issues, and that's what something the writer Tiffany Woolfolk, who's a client of Loving Life Productions LLC, it was really important to her. It was really important to me when she pitched a script that this story be told, because within the Black community, normally faith and traditional ways, the appropriate ways of handling mental health are never intertwined and are never joined together in a real conversation.
Yeah, it's kind of pushed under the rug, swept under the rug, wouldn't you say?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So now I want you to introduce us to the characters, because I know we've met Sharon and Tara, but introduce me to the characters that they represent.
Oh yes, so love these 2 to death. So they actually play 2 of the 3 lead characters in 5 Hours to Georgia. So Sharon Famoye plays our lead character, Gigi, and Tara Malachi plays one of our lead characters, Trish. And they actually play sisters. There's a third sister. She's actually an actress, Kayla Washington. She lives in Cincinnati, Ohio. But these 2 are local, and that's who they play.
Okay. So can you tell me a little bit about your character, Sharon?
My character, Gigi, she's the lead character, the youngest of 3 sisters. She tends to be very, I don't want to say quiet, but she just sort of goes with the flow of things, but she can be very assertive when she needs to be. And I feel like I relate to that a lot.
Oh, you can relate. You actually, okay. So it was not difficult for you to play this role?
It sort of was, being able to put myself in her shoes to adapt to her life and actually feel it. But in ways of personality, it wasn't that hard to be her.
Okay. What do you love most about the film?
I love the whole family aspect of it, because mental health and family is mental health sometimes can be attributed to tearing apart families and things like that. So the fact that the family in the film are so close, I would say, in a way, I don't want to give away too much, but I really like the family in it. That's
the family, the closeness.
Yeah. How you're raised within your family affects your mental health. You see people, just to tag along just super briefly, adults, the way they interact with other people. You hear so many people say, well, if I was raised like this, I wouldn't be like this. So we address a lot of things that happen in those really important developmental times of your years, which the young adulthood and the teenage years, that you'll see all kinds of different flashbacks from each of our stories, show and attribute to how important it is to keep that family unit together growing up.
Okay. Tara, tell us about your character and what she's like and what you loved about playing this particular part.
Yes, my character is Trish. I'm the older sister of the 3. And Trish is saucy, but yet still has that desire to still want to be soft and humble with her younger sisters. And she's very strong, very intimidating at times, but at the same time, she's also wanting to be able to interact with her sisters, you know, the best that she can, as well as what's going on in between the dynamic of the three. Yeah, and what I loved about Trish was that I could relate to her. I literally felt like Trish was made for me because Trish is very assertive. Trish is very strong. Trish is very fashion forward. And so when it comes to those things, that's what my life is like. And just as far as the family aspect piece of it, you know, how she interacts with her family, I often relate to my family as well. So we all get along. We all fight. It's just, that's how families are. And Trish is one of those sisters you got to keep an eye out for.
Okay.
Yeah.
She gonna tell you how it is. Okay, Trish is not gonna hold back anything. She's gonna tell you how it is, what it is, how it is.
Yeah.
Now let me ask you this, Lakeisha. Then when you have a character like Trish, and you probably have a vision for her, that character or any character in the movie, and then when they start to play that character, how do we go by how she acts, or do you go by your vision?
So in the making of this movie in pre-production, since this was actually one of the few films that I produced through Loving Life Productions LLC that I didn't write. So the writer and I, Tiffany Wolfork, we talked intensively about each character, how we wanted them to be, what we wanted them to be formed as. So they were really based upon her archetypes initially, and then, you know, my job as the director outside of producing is to kind of birth and execute that vision. So in working with the girls, with my assistant director Eden Evans and I, you know, I had to make sure everybody was on one accord with how we were going to explain in the same way, with the same words, how I wanted them to be. So based upon some of the contextual clues that we had, you know, within the script and how I generally saw each one of them, I really tried to just press into them to be this character, to think about mannerisms, to think about what this character would do or what was their motivation behind, you know, saying this or doing this, because there's always an underlining meaning in film. It's never what people say, it's what they do. So you'll see that with these characters, and Eden was great in working and coaching them in many ways as well. But it was just really cool to see the entire team come together to help birth and bring these characters to life.
Okay, so tell us about the big premiere. You've got a premiere coming up, right?
Yes, Saturday, January 4th at 7 p.m. at Georgetown Cinemas is the 5-hour to Georgia red carpet premiere. So you can get tickets at lovinglifeproductions.com, and they're also available on Eventbrite. Okay, now how long is this particular film? Because I think, you know, most movies are 2 hours long. Is it that long? Yeah, it's about 2 hours.
Wow.
So it's the first theatrical release that we've done. So I'm really excited about it. It's great content. And although it's faith-based and it has elements of the Christian faith in there, anyone can watch it and relate to the story because it's such a good story. And that's something that Loving Life Productions LLC, we really strive to tell universal stories and show God and present His word in a way that will gravitate to anyone, no matter what your faith is. Wow. Okay. So now for the premiere, everybody's invited to come out and watch, and so they just show up. The ticket prices and that kind of thing, and tickets are $15. Okay. It's all online. So again, if they go to lovinglifeproductions.com and just hit the ticket link, you can get your tickets. We'll scan you in when you come in. It's formal attire, formal dress. So we're really doing it up like a normal red carpet. Now 2 hours of all that kind of production in terms of your actresses and your crews and your film guys and your editors, and that ain't cheap. So how do you fund a project this big? Well, you know, we worked really hard to secure grant funding. Me being a Black woman, young, 3 minorities there, boom. I said, hey, I'm black, I'm young, I'm a woman, please send us money. And we got really far, but the way we are doing it now with our clients, so the clients supply 40% of the funding for the film, and then the rest of it is self-funded. So much of this for the actors, they're investing in themselves, I'm investing in them, everyone on the team is investing in each other, and as a company, we're investing this into the company because we believe in this film that much.
Okay, so I just want to say, because we've just got a minute left, is that anybody out there who's watching who wants to support you, they can contact you. Go to your website.
LoveandLifeProductions.com.
Okay, and drop you a check. And some support. I'm telling you,
Yeah.
we did that on radio years ago. A lady was running for Mrs. Indiana, and we talked about it, and somebody from Martinsville brought in $800. She just heard us talking about it.
Wow,
So
that would be
I know,
such a
trust me,
blessing.
I know how to get that going. Well, thank you all for coming in. We're excited about the premiere. Folks, support them, buy tickets, call your friends, to bring your friends out to come for the big premiere of 5 hours to Georgia, a film drama. Thank you so much for coming in, Lakeisha, Sharon, and Tara.
Thank you.
For being here on Inside Indy. And thank you for joining us here on Inside Indy. I'm Kelly Vaughn. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
We love to stargaze, watch them go out in a blaze of glory. When her parents' marriage goes under, we wonder who gets custody of Miley when her family's torn asunder. Us and People magazine, the inquirers on the scene, who they're with, what they eat, what they wear, we're in the know about each show. That housewife has to go. Don't you know we love to stargaze? Whether you're a bachelor or a bachelorette, an Iron Man or a Family Guy, here's the situation. Christmas is not just a Toy Story, not a celebration of the Big Bang Theory, but it's about a star. We love to stargaze. Sometimes it has us in a daze, in a spin like we're riding on the wheel of fortune. But that crazy ride of fame just leaves you with a hangover. This life is an amazing race. When you meet Jesus face to face, your eternity no longer is in jeopardy. He's no half-blood prince, he's a Prince of Peace. Instead of dancing with the stars or playing bride wars, take a look at the true star of Christmas, Jesus Christ, who came to dwell with us. He's our reality, the star of the Nativity. He is our wonderful counselor, mighty God, everlasting Father, Prince of Peace, Jesus Christ, the true star of Christmas.